From Lagos, the nation's commercial capital, this is the News at 10. Live from Channels Television. Reporting tonight, Kayode Okikiolu.
Tonight, PDP leadership crisis takes a new twist as Governor Wike lashes out at the national chairman, Yocha Ayu, accuses him of compromising the party presidential primary process and collecting 1 billion naira from a candidate without remitting it to the party account. Court remands Professor Zainab Duke Abiola in Suleja Custodial Center following her arraignment before a magistrate court in Abuja for allegedly assaulting her orderly inspector, Teju Moses. Academic Staff Union of Universities files an appeal challenging the National Industrial Court ruling ordering its members to resume work. Federal government asks striking lecturers to obey court order first. And the president addresses the Nigeria International Economic Partnership Forum in New York, promises tax-free incentives for investors.
And on business news tonight, National Pension Commission approves withdrawal of 25% from retirement savings account balance as equity contribution for mortgages.
On sports news tonight, Manchester United forward Cristiano Ronaldo has been charged by the FA with improper conduct over footage which appears to show him knocking a phone out of a fan's hand last season.
From the nation's capital, Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Olukayode Ariwoola, promises to prioritize training of judicial officers to handle cases of road crashes to avert loss of lives.
And in international news from London, voting in a referendum on joining Russia has begun in the self-proclaimed Donetsk People's Republic in eastern Ukraine.
It was a day of revelations by Governor Nyesom Wike, who is not backing down on his call for the resignation of the national chairman of the People's Democratic Party, Senator Yocha Ayu. And the latest bombshell from the Rivers State governor is the allegation that the PDP chairman manipulated the process that produced the party's presidential flag bearer, Mr. Atiku Abubakar. According to Governor Wike, who was speaking during a televised media parley, Senator Ayu's action before and during the party's presidential primary called to question the outcome of the exercise.
The whole national chairman threatened some of the presidential aspirants at that time that if Wike wins, he was going to resign. In fact, he was calling aspirants to withdraw from Atiku Abubakar. Bala Muhammad is there. Saraki is there. Gambawa is there. Meetings and meetings and meetings were called upon. You must withdraw. If not, we will lose. Wike will win. So don't say, but the issue is not about Wike. Nobody's fighting about Wike, but it is. We want to. This is the national chairman of a party who's supposed to be the chief umpire. This was before the primaries. Yes. Even at the grant of the primary. That was why we started the primary very, very late.
That was not all, as Governor Wike also accused the PDP chairman of getting financial inducements which was not paid into the account of the party.
I am totally involved.
Because you're a lawyer also. So when you say this kind of things, you probably have evidence.
Listen, you have opportunity to challenge me. I will name. I said I would name. I told you I was going to speak. I'm not speaking today. We're not even going to that moral, but even some of the governors can tell you will he deny the fact that he did not collect $1 billion from Lagos?
Lagos.
Yes.
Who in Lagos?
I will let him deny. I will tell him who gave him the money.
Lagos.
Yeah, not Lagos State government, whatever. I'm talking about the money was given to him in Lagos. Yes.
For what purpose?
He met one of the presidential aspirants and told him that he is not sure these governors may want to sponsor the party. Let IU say no. I would even call some of the businessmen and how the money was arranged in Lagos. That money did not enter to the account of PDP. But we're not attacking IU on that basis. We're attacking IU. This is what we are talking about.
I'd like to say that Channels Television has reached out to the PDP chairman for his reaction to those accusations, but he's yet to return our calls or reply our messages. We'll, however, bring you his reaction as soon as we get it. But staying with the briefing, the River State governor maintains that he remains a loyal member of the party, but the only thing standing between the PDP and a victory in next year's elections is his party's ability to correct the wrongs that led to the current crisis in the party.
What Nigerians are saying, this party that promised all heaven and earth, we can't get it. The company has never been polarized like this before, right? There's never been support polarization like this before. And then, now you are not, it's of you to capitalize on that by doing the right thing, so you can continue to enjoy the support and win the election if it's good. As like I said, we have time. If the election is called, what we say today is it can't be today. Tomorrow, if the election is called tomorrow, like tomorrow is what? Saturday. Right? And they allow themselves in this way. Nigerians won't come back to us. And that's why we are taking it upon ourselves not to allow this opportunity to go. If we allow this opportunity, Nigerians are giving us, then we'll pay dearly for it. And that's what I try to let people know. So, but for me, everything must be done to make sure the right thing is done for us to take the support of Nigeria. But if we say we'll continue this way and then take for granted that the APC are not done well, then we'll go in for a shocker.
Meanwhile, the presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party, Akwa Ibom, has restated his intention to resolve all pending internal issues within the party. Mr. Abubakar's message was conveyed by the Sokoto State Governor, Aminu Tambuwal, at the 35th anniversary of the creation of Akwa Ibom State in Uyo, the state capital, today.
Yes, we must acknowledge that we are having some internal family issues. But rest assured, and this is the message of Akwa Ibom to members of the PDP family, that we are not involved or engaged in a war of attrition. It is a political disagreement, and very soon all of that will be resolved, and PDP will continue to remain strong and grow until we win the elections by the grace of God come February 2023.
Now, today's comments by Governor Nyesom Wike during the media chat revealed that the wounds of the PDP presidential primary are far from healing. The internal rift between the Yorcha Ayu-led National Working Committee of the PDP and some prominent members of the party from the south who want the national chairman to go to the region now appears to pose a threat to PDP's chances of victory in the 2023 elections. To avoid this, however, some chieftains of the party are calling on all the leaders to unite and resolve the issues.
Hereby return Akwa Ibom as the winner of the election.
This is where it all started. The current storm that seems to be tearing apart the structures of the People's Democratic Party. The emergence of former Vice President Mr. Akwa Ibom as the presidential candidate of the party at this convention opened a new window for conversations about whether or not the position of the PDP national chairman should remain with the North. What started as an in-house talk gradually snowballed into a big problem within the party, with many prominent members of the party, including the governor of Rivers State and the Southwest leader in the party, Chief Bode George, calling for the resignation of the PDP national chairman, Mr. Yorcha Ayu.
As soon as the new chairman comes on,
Prior to the PDP National Convention in May this year, Mr. Ayu reportedly promised to resign if a presidential candidate emerges from the north. However, neither the protests nor calls from within the PDP have made the national chairman resign from his position.
What Nigerians are saying, this party that promised...
Speaking during a media chat in Port Harcourt, Governor Wike says the PDP sowed seeds of discord when it jettisoned its zoning principles.
Some people always think they are too clever. They came up with the issue, oh no, so only the party offices, don't zone the elective offices. We have jettisoned our constitution. Not knowing that we're laying the foundation, the seed of discord in future.
Speaking after a meeting with the chairman of the PDP Board of Trustees a day before the governor's media chat, the governor of Sokoto State, who doubles as the chairman of the PDP Governors Forum, says the party is working on resolving the crisis.
The Board of Trustees is the conscience of the party, and we've engaged with them, and I believe that what they are likely to come up with is going to be a solution to the problem we have.
Party members have also weighed in on the matter, calling on those involved in the current infighting to make concessions for the sake of the party.
I expected the party to give and take, to do give and take at this point. Secondly, most importantly, Ayu is critical, Wike is critical, and Atiku is critical. The three of them, without interference from anybody, in the interest of larger Nigeria and the party, you should come out with a solution.
Nigeria's main opposition party, the PDP, lost the presidential elections in 2015 and 2019 to the APC and has since been strategizing to win the presidency in 2023. A hope some within the party say is now being threatened by the internal wranglings.
Well, staying with party politics, this time in Zamfara State, where Dauda Lawal Dare has emerged the governorship candidate of the PDP in a fresh primary election conducted in Gusau, the state capital, today. Mr. Lawal Dare polled 422 votes to emerge victorious, while the other aspirants, Ibrahim Shehu and Hafiz Mohammed, got 1 vote each, and Wadatal Medawaki received none. The chairman of the election committee, Hassan Hyatt, described the exercise as peaceful, transparent and credible, while announcing Dauda Lawal Dare as a winner. 455 delegates were listed to participate in the rerun primary election, but 431 were accredited, while 420 votes were cast. To legal matters now, the Supreme Court has struck out a suit instituted against the People's Democratic Party to compel the party to zone the nomination of its presidential candidate to the southeast region of the country. In a unanimous judgment delivered by Justice Adamu Jauro in Abuja, the court struck out the suit on the ground of lack of jurisdiction to entertain it. A PDP presidential aspirant and former Deputy Speaker of Abia State House of Assembly, Honorable Cosmos Sindukwe, had instituted the suit against his party, praying for an order to compel it to uphold the zoning and rotational policy of the party. However, Justice Jauro dismissed the suit on the ground that the nomination of candidates for election was an internal affair of political parties. And here in Lagos, the Federal High Court today adjourned till September the 28th to hear an application seeking to stop the Labour Party, its candidates and supporters from conducting the Obidati 23 Forward Ever Rally on October the 1st, 2022, or any other date in Lagos State. Justice Daniel Osiago fixed the date after taking arguments from the parties on the mode of service of court processes, noting that the application must be heard and determined before October the 1st. In the suit, 10 plaintiffs are asking the court to, among other things, restrain the Labour Party, its presidential candidate, Mr. Peter Obi, his vice, Mr. Yusuf Dati Baba Ahmed, one Julius Abure, and their loyalists from holding the rally until the hearing and determination of their motion and notice of September the 12th, 2022. And in part two, after the break, the president addresses the Nigeria International Economic Partnership Forum in New York, promises tax-free incentives for investors. That's in a moment. Do stay with us. back. If you've just joined us, you're watching the news at 10, live on Channels Television Lagos. A reminder of our top stories. PDP leadership crisis takes a new twist as Governor Wike lashes out at the national chairman, Yocha Ayu, accuses him of compromising the party's presidential primary process and collecting 1 billion naira from an aspirant without remitting to the party's account. Court remands Professor Zainab Duke Abiola in Suleja Custodial Center following her arraignment before a magistrate's court in Abuja for allegedly assaulting her orderly, Inspector Teju Moses. Academic Staff Union of Universities ASUU files an appeal challenging the National Industrial Court ruling ordering its members to resume work. Federal government asks striking lecturers to obey court order first. And the president addresses the Nigeria International Economic Partnership Forum in New York, promises tax-free incentives for investors. More stories now. A magistrate's court in Wuse, Abuja has remanded Professor Zainab Duke Abiola in the Suleja Custodial Center after she was arraigned for assaulting her orderly, Inspector Teju Moses. She was arraigned today along with her domestic aide, Rebecca Enechido, following the arrest yesterday after her injured police orderly went viral. In the video, the officer is seen in uniform, bleeding, seated on the floor and asking to be taken to the hospital for medical attention. They were charged with criminal conspiracy, causing criminal hurt without provocation, attempting to commit culpable homicide, and an intentional insult to cause a breach of trust. The magistrate adjourned the case till October the 5th. The Inspector General of Police, Usman Al-Kalibaba, had condemned the assault in a statement, vowing that justice will be done in the case. Well, now to an update on the ASUU industrial action. The Academic Staff Union of Universities is challenging the ruling of Justice Polycarp Hammond of the Industrial Court, which ordered the lecturers to call off their 7-month-old strike and return to the classroom. Counsel representing ASUU, Mr. Femi Falana, based the appeal filed before the appeal court today on 14 grounds and 2 motions of reliefs, while also seeking for a stay of execution of the orders of the court pending the hearing and determination of the appeal. A part of the appeal argues that the said ruling affects the fundamental and other legal rights of ASUU and its members, and that the industrial court made the order without jurisdiction as the said referral was incompetent. On the 14 grounds of appeal, ASUU holds that the learned trial judge, Justice Polycarp Hammond, erred in law when he decided to hear and determine the federal government's motion for interlocutory injunction when he knew or ought to know that the substantive suit filed by the claimant was not initiated by due process of law. The further states that the trial judge, who was a vacation judge having granted accelerated hearing, ought to have heard and determined the suit, particularly in view of the fact that the annual vacation of the trial court subsists till September the 27th, 2022. In the meantime, the Minister of Labour and Employment, Dr. Chris Ngige, is asking the lecturers to obey the National Industrial Court ruling and call off their ongoing nationwide strike while negotiation continues. While fielding questions from journalists in New York, Dr. Ngige states that the strike is detrimental to public university students who cannot afford to attend private tertiary institutions. He also noted that the Trade Dispute Act mandates workers not to embark on strike once an issue has been referred to the industrial court.
The maxim in law is that once there is a court judgment or ruling or order, you must first obey, and then you can apply for an appeal if you so desire, or apply for a stay if you so desire. That's a stay of execution. So the maxim in law, jurisprudence and everything about the law is that you obey a court's ruling, judgment or order, no matter how bad. The qualifying thing is that no matter how bad and no matter how you disagree with it, you first obey. Like the military people say, obey before complain. So we expect them to get back to the classroom. But that doesn't foreclose negotiations. The negotiations will be on. As a matter of fact, it will be on official and unofficially. For example, the House of Representatives have invited us to come and brief them. I will honor the invitation and go and brief them on the situation of things. And together, they are stakeholders. You know, he had the president say to the pro-chancellors who came to see him, the committee of pro-chancellors, that he would do consultation as per the two requests they made to him. Requests on putting an icing on the cake on the government offer to ASUU members, and the issue of a resettlement fund to cushion the effect of the no work, no pay situation they found themselves in.
And away from the ASUU federal government impasse, the president believes Nigeria can be a major international supply chain partner to global economies like the United States. And to this end, President Muhammadu Buhari is offering tax-free incentives to encourage investment. He made this offer while speaking to captains of industry, ambassadors and foreign investors at the Nigeria International Economic Partnership Forum in New York. Our State House correspondent, Gloria Mezoke, reports from New York.
24 hours after the president addressed the United Nations General Assembly, he joins foreign investors as host in a high-level presidential session under the International Economic Partnership Forum. Captains of industry and top officials from Nigeria converge in New York, essentially to garner support from the Business Council for International Understanding for Nigeria's high-impact ambitions aimed at propelling financial investment into Nigeria.
Increased collaboration with Nigeria and the other developing markets is needed to mitigate against both current and potential future supply chain challenges. Your Excellency, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the situation in the world today presents an opportunity for real sector investments in Nigeria.
Consequently, the president offers tax-free incentives to encourage investment.
In order to encourage increased private capital inflows into Nigeria, we have put together fiscal investment incentives that include 3 to 5 years of tax holidays for enterprises in what we deem pioneer industries, tax-free operations, and no restrictions on expatriate quotas in our free trade zones.
Nigeria's export pegged at over $1.69 billion worth of goods to the U.S. as at 2020, according to the government, can be expanded to accommodate other huge potentials inherent in the country. Investors and members of Nigeria's delegation express optimism.
This forum was very interesting. We have been speaking about finance, and I definitely think that finance is a key success factor of what we can do in Nigeria. We are here to finance large projects around biodiversity and carbon credits. This is the aim of Adriada, the company we have created to build a huge reforestation of lands, and there is a huge capabilities in Nigeria.
This is a huge market. There are lots of untapped opportunities. Yes, there are challenges, but the benefits outweigh the challenges. And we hope that the foreign investors will be proactive enough to take that step forward. But it's something government to government that we have to keep doing all the time.
It's actually something positive, and the body language is yes, we want to come to Nigeria. If I had somebody speak to me today, and by the time she said to me they have over, I think, $1 trillion that they're looking to invest in key sectors around the world. So by talking to us, she felt convinced that she can take the next step and try to come to Nigeria. And different sectors they'll be interested in, not just in particular one.
The president harps on the carefully cultivated relationship Nigeria has with the United States as he also drives that unshakable conviction that investments in Nigeria can change the narrative in the global economy. As a matter of fact, he says Nigeria is not looking for handouts, but wants a win-win situation going forward. From New York, Gloria Umezuke, Channels Television News.
Well, back home, call it one building collapse too many, and you may not be wrong, as another three-story structure caved in today on Isolo Road in the Mushin area of Lagos State. 4 people died in the collapse, while 1 person, a female, was rescued from the rubble. The rescue operation is now over. According to the National Emergency Management Agency coordinator in charge of Lagos Territorial Office, Mr. Ibrahim Fariloye, part of the building was being used as a nightclub, while another was used as residential apartments. He added that the structure started collapsing from underground after giving signs in the past 3 days, but the occupants, he says, ignored them. Well, still ahead on the news at 10, National Pension Commission approves withdrawal of 25% from retirement savings account balance as equity contribution for mortgages. That's on Business News. Join us again. At 10, let's check in with Terry Kumi, who's standing by in our Abuja studio for more.
Well, hello, Kayode. Let's go to the story on the Chief Justice of Nigeria as he assumes office fully following his confirmation by the Senate. Justice Olukayode Ariwola is promising to prioritize the training of judicial officers to handle cases of road crashes. He says this is aimed at addressing road crashes and the attendant loss of lives. The CJN made the commitment in Abuja at the annual Road Safety Conference.
Experts in road safety management are gathered here at the instance of the President of the Court of Appeal, Justice Monica Dongba Mensem, who's a strong advocate of safer roads in Nigeria. Statistics from the National Bureau of Statistics and the Federal Road Safety Corps indicate that no fewer than 2 persons die on Nigerian roads every 4 hours.
I almost couldn't believe.
The Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Olukayode Ariwola, says it is time to be proactive by equipping judicial officers with the needed training on road safety cases.
With the road safety, with this foundation, in collaboration and, of course, in synergy with the National Judicial Institute, this training will be organized and judicial officers at various levels will be properly trained.
Part of the focal point of discussions is making laws against traffic offenses and having good roads to ensure safety for motorists and pedestrians.
We advocate that if there are crashes, the owners of the vehicles should be held responsible. This will require legislation. We've been trying to get legislation out to, to arouse consciousness and responsibility in our road users. We will continue to pursue that until those legislation come true.
10% of the budget for road construction should be dedicated to road safety interventions. So from the point of designing the road, there should be a road safety review to make sure that the roads are properly designed to ensure safety. And then there will be also post-construction enforcement of traffic rules on the road, of pedestrian walkways, of ensuring visibility of junctions, and of critical dark spots on the road.
The need for timely care and attention for victims of road crashes was also a major highlight at the event as modalities for ending road crashes.
Let's go to Akwa Ibom State, where the People's Democratic Party is promising to replicate the developmental strides which it has recorded in the state in Nigeria at large, if elected into office in 2023. At the continuation of the 35th anniversary celebration of the state in Uyo, the state capital, today, Governor Udom Emmanuel, who is also the chairman of the PDP Presidential Campaign Council, hosted prominent members of the party who commended his work while using the state as a reference point.
Akwa Ibom State! Akwa Ibom is home! Akwa Ibom is home!
Akwa Ibom State was created out from the old Cross River State on September 23, 1987, by the Ibrahim Babangida administration.
Beside every successful governor is a very supportive First Lady.
Over the last 35 years, the state has witnessed remarkable development strides under several administrations. This is why the government and people of the state are gathered here in their thousands at the Godswill Akpabio International Stadium to celebrate, and not even the day's heavy downpour could dampen their mood.
Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, a display of some of the dances, some of the play, some of the things.
The presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party, Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, who's represented by the governor of Sokoto State, joins the celebration. Former Senate President Bukola Saraki, on his part, lauds Governor Udom Emmanuel's development strides in the state.
Let me congratulate all the good people of Akwa Ibom. You are truly a pace-setter, not only in this part of the country, but the entire country. Congratulations, my great brother. And for those coming behind, you have big shoes to step into. May God give you guidance to lead this state that has blessed so much. God continue to bless this great state.
The chief host and governor of Akwa Ibom State, Udom Emmanuel, expresses appreciation to God for his grace and the people for their support over the years.
35 years ago, we got this state by the then invisible hands of the Almighty God, through the then military president, Ibrahim Babangida, and today we are 35. Let me thank all the fathers in faith, our traditional fathers, the women, the youth, the stakeholders, all the leaders of the state, for building a state as strong as this for 35 years.
Prominent guests at the event include serving and former governors from across the country.
In other stories, the oil producers trade section in Nigeria, made up of both indigenous and international companies, has celebrated its 60th anniversary with a dinner in Lagos. The OPTS is the umbrella association of the oil and gas companies, which have come together to promote their common interests and strengthen the long-term health and the offshore and onshore oil and gas industry in Nigeria. At the event, the Vice President, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, challenged the OPTS to do more green energy.
Dressed for the occasion, OPTS members and other stakeholders, including Vice President Yemi Osinbajo, assembled at this gala dinner to celebrate the Diamond Jubilee of the organization.
Committed to
Acting Chairman of the OPTS and Managing Director of the Shell Petroleum Development Company of Nigeria, Asaji Okumbo, set the tone for the evening.
The OPTS began modestly in 1962 with only 3 founding member companies. Over the last 60 years, we have evolved as a group and have become partners with Nigeria in the development of a sector that is key to our nation's economic growth.
The OPTS has made significant contributions to the development of the Nigerian oil and gas industry, which is buttressed by the Group CEO of the NNPC, who is represented by Mr. Dakpo Shegun.
The 60 years of OPTS existence in Nigeria speaks to the progress and fortune the industry has brought to the nation by virtue of our work and the collective efforts of everyone in the room today. Corporates, individuals, and indeed our retirees have brought Nigeria to the fore and secured our place on the global stage.
The evening is a celebration of a corporate entity, but one with a wake-up call to new ways of doing business, as outlined by the Vice President.
We in the developing world are faced with 2, not one existential crisis. One is climate change. The other is extreme poverty, the cause and consequence of which is energy poverty. The private sector must up its participation in the transition to green energy journey. And in particular, the OPTS, I think that you must be involved more actively in the conversations.
Looking forward, the OPTS wants to continue to grow its membership and achieve other set goals. But its executive director says there are challenges that must be overcome.
But we have challenges with our JV cash call arrears that we need to get sorted out. We have about 3 billion unpaid JV cash call arrears, which are hoping the government will support us in paying. Hopefully, with crude theft out of the way, JV cash call arrears cleared, operations should increase, production should increase, and exploration work should increase.
The celebration ends with a customary cake cutting as the OPTS looks forward to a brighter future.
Well, That's all from the nation's capital. Now to business news with Teniola Shobowale.
Banking so easy, so simple. Dial for hash now to experience it. You first, First Bank.
Thanks a lot, Terry. The National Pension Commission says it has approved guidelines for workers to get a residential mortgage using their retirement savings account, RSA. According to the Commission, RSA holders with a minimum contribution period of 5 years can withdraw 25% from their retirement savings account balance to purchase or maintain a home, land, or other types of real estate. The Commission adds that RSA holders may use the contingent portion of their voluntary contributions, where 25% is not sufficient for payment, as equity contribution. And one of Nigeria's foremost banking institutions, Fidelity Bank, has signed a memorandum of understanding with the Small and Medium Enterprises Development Agency in a bid to empower MSMEs to strengthen their contribution to economic development and poverty alleviation in the country. Speaking at the signing ceremony in Lagos, an executive director with the bank, Mr. Ken Opara, says the partnership deal between both parties is mainly targeted at strengthening SMEDIN's operations and help realize its key mandate of generating revenue and supporting job creation.
The signing of the partnership deal, which comes after a 6-year journey of developing SMEs' activities in the country, was witnessed by some representatives of Fidelity Bank's management, members of SMEDIN, as well as some members of the media. Speaking during the ceremony, an executive director with Fidelity Bank, Mr. Ken Opara, says the arrangement will enhance the capacity of micro, small and medium enterprises, as well as boost their access to funding.
Part of what we did was to begin to create a platform that will help them. And realizing that building that capacity is very, very key. We then decided to have programs that are, aligned to different categories of people. And that's why you began to see us also coming up with some level of partnership. We had some partnership with Sage, basically for accounting record, because that's very important, very basic thing.
On his part, the Director General of SMEDIN, Mr. Olawale Fasonya, who expressed his satisfaction with the bank's pedigree, says he's optimistic that the deal will now afford MSMEs in the country the opportunity to access some of Fidelity Bank's SME-friendly products.
The problem of MSME is not just about funding. But for us, we know the funds are there. It's the problem of access, which we are trying to find a way around to see how access can be made better. Because a lot of banks have different funding windows, but some, one way or the other, people are not able to access, especially nano businesses and micro businesses.
With the signing of this partnership MOU with SMEDIN, Fidelity Bank says it is reaffirming its commitments to enhancing the productivity and prosperity of MSMEs in the country and remains true to its slogan of keeping its word.
And the equities market closes the final trading day of the week in negative territory. Will Ibong tells us more.
Hello and welcome to the stock market report. That's it. The bull got hammered again today, and not even the 0.1% gain in MTN Nigeria could outweigh losses in the equities market. The all share index slid further in today's trading sessions, close out a bloody week. Boa Cement, Zenith Bank, GT Co all contributed massively to draw the market cap 88 billion naira lower. Market sentiments are very negative. 23 stocks with Computer Warehouse Group in the lead saw their share prices close lower today, while Access Holdings featured on the top gainers list with 50 kobo added to its share price. Not an impressive outing for equities this week, and the CBN Monetary Policy Committee meeting is now on the clock and counting. Just one more trading session before the central bank releases its decision on rates to break the back of inflation. And that's the stock market report. And Will Ibong is back to you.
Thanks a lot, Will. In the U.S., stocks tumbled today to cap a brutal week for financial markets as high interest rates and foreign currency turmoil heightened fears of a global recession. Meanwhile, let's see how other major equities closed today. And that's Business News Tonight. I'm Teniola Oyitayo. It's back to Kayode for the rest of the news at 10.
Banking so easy, so simple. Dial *894# now to experience it. You first, First Bank.
Teniola. Outside Nigeria, Ukrainians have reported armed soldiers going door to door in occupied parts of the country to collect votes for self-styled referendums and joining Russia. Russian state media says the door-to-door voting is for security. Simon Pusey has more on this and other international news in Around the World in 5.
Good evening and welcome to the Channel Studios London with your international news around the world in 5. Voting in a referendum on joining Russia has begun in the self-proclaimed Donetsk People's Republic in eastern Ukraine. The Russian-backed leader of the Donetsk People's Republic, Denis Pushilin, cast his ballot on Friday in Donetsk. And here the Russian-installed leader of Ukraine's Kherson region placing his vote. Taking place in 4 Ukrainian regions, largely held by Russian forces, the vote, which the West and Ukraine have condemned as a sham, will go on for 5 days and end on Tuesday, with results expected soon afterwards. Lebanon's transport minister says the bodies of 61 migrants have been found after the boat they were travelling in sank off Syria's coast. Officials said Lebanese, Syrian and Palestinian nationals, including women and children, were believed to be among the 120 to 150 people who were on board when the boat sank on Thursday. 20 survivors are being treated in a hospital in the Syrian city of Tartus. It is not clear what caused the accident. The boat is believed to have been heading to Europe when it sank. Britain's new Chancellor has unveiled the biggest package of tax cuts in 50 years as he hailed a new era for the UK economy. Kwasi Kwarteng said a major change of direction was needed to kickstart economic growth. Income tax and the stamp duty on home purchases will be cut, and planned rises in business taxes have been scrapped. But Labour said it would not solve the cost of living crisis and was a plan to reward the already wealthy.
We need a new approach for a new era, focused on growth. Our aim over the medium term is to reach a trend rate of growth of 2.5%. And our plan, Mr. Speaker, is to expand the supply side of the economy through tax incentives and reform. That is how we will deliver higher wages, greater opportunities, and crucially, Mr. Speaker, fund public services now and into the future. That is how we will compete successfully with dynamic economies around the world. And that is how, Mr. Speaker, we will turn this vicious cycle of stagnation into a virtuous cycle of growth.
The Vice President of South Sudan has expressed confidence in a peaceful, fair and credible election that will be held in 2025 in the young country while speaking during the United Nations General Assembly.
The implementation process of the revitalized peace agreement is facing numerous challenges.
Hussein Abdelbagi Akola asked the UN to consider dropping sanctions and an arms embargo currently imposed on South Sudan.
I am equally pleased to inform you that the parties to the agreement have agreed on a roadmap to complete remaining tasks in the peace agreement, which will pave way for a peaceful, fair, and credible election at the end of transitional period in 2025.
Bermudans are preparing for the onslaught of Hurricane Fiona, which has caused several deaths already and left many people sweltering without power in Puerto Rico and the Dominican Republic. Fiona had maximum sustained winds of 130 miles per hour and was about 345 miles southwest of Bermuda. A hurricane warning remained in effect for all of Bermuda, home to more than 60,000 people, with the eye of the storm expected to pass just west of the country. And Egyptian authorities have reopened the historic site of the Virgin Mary's tree in Cairo's Matira district, a spot where the Holy Family is believed to have passed during their journey to the country. The project is part of an ongoing joint effort between the Ministry of Antiquities and local development groups to renovate various historic sites that are said to have witnessed the Holy Family's journey through Egypt. The renovation of Mary's tree site includes building new ramps for people with disabilities and adding signs and brochures in Braille for visitors with visual impairments. And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the Channel studios in Lagos.
Many thanks, Simon. Welcome to Sports News. Flamingo's coach Bankwele Oluwakere has selected 21 players in his squad for this year's FIFA Under-17 Women's World Cup finals. Captain Alvina Dazosu, midfielder Jewel Taiwo Afolabi, and top scorer Okpeyemi Ajakai were all included. While the first choice goalkeeper Faith Milano, defenders Comfort Folorunshaw, Blessing Sunday, and Miracle Useni, midfielders Blessing Emmanuel and Chidera Kenwa, and forwards Omome Bello and Yetunde Ayatosho also made the list. Our players and officials are scheduled to depart the shores of Nigeria on Monday, September the 26th, for a 10-day training camp in Turkey before the delegation will jet off for India from Istanbul on October the 6th. Manchester United forward Cristiano Ronaldo has been charged by the Football Association over footage which appeared to show him knocking a phone out of a fan's hand. But the video was shared on social media alongside comments claiming he smashed the device after he left the pitch after a 1-0 loss at Everton in the month of April. Ronaldo later apologized on social media. He was then cautioned by police regarding the incident in August. Alexander Usyk says he wants 3 more fights before retiring, including a heavyweight unification bout with Britain's Tyson Fury. Usyk retained his WBA, that's Super, WBO and IBF titles against Anthony Joshua last month, while Fury has the WBC belt. He also wants a lucrative freak fight with super middleweight champion Saul Canelo Alvarez before ending his career at Kiev's Olympijski Stadium. Canelo claimed a dominant points win over Gennady Golovkin last weekend to settle their trilogy with a second win for the Mexican, and had previously talked about fighting Usyk in the past. Organizers of the Hong Kong Rugby 7 say international teams will be placed in strict closed-loop bubbles as the event is set to take place in November after a 3-year hiatus. The staff and media will need to wear protective equipment, while spectators will need to wear masks unless drinking and scan their vaccine pass before entering the stadium. That's according to the Chief Executive, Robbie McRobbie. Well, any team with 5 or more positive coronavirus cases will have to withdraw from the tournament. And that's a wrap in sports news. I'm Ayo Tunde. Balogwens, back to you, Kayode.
Well, thank you, Ayotunde. And the main news again. It was another day of revelations today in the leadership crisis rocking the PDP, as Governor Wike accused the national chairman, Yocho Ayu, of compromising the party's presidential primary process and collecting 1 billion naira from an aspirant without remitting it to the party's account. Also today, a magistrate court in Abuja remanded Professor Zainab Duke Abiola in Suleja Custodial Center following her arraignment for allegedly assaulting her orderly, Inspector Teju Moses. And the Academic Staff Union of Universities today filed an appeal challenging the National Industrial Court's ruling ordering its members to resume work. Well, this came as the federal government asked the striking lecturers to obey court order first while negotiations continue. And that's the news at 10 for tonight, everyone. Thank you for watching. I'm Kayode Okikilo. To have a wonderful weekend. Goodbye.